Speaking of history, you've worked for both Presidents Bush, 41 and 43, as they call them. And I'm just wondering what you learned from them. Starting out working for George Herbert Walker Bush, what did you learn from being in that White House?
First George Bush
Yes, right.
is probably the most decent, honest guy I've ever known. I mean, just a great public servant who I think everybody who knew him believed that he was doing the right thing every day for the country, and just a really decent guy who taught me you can be civil and decent and generous in the world of politics and still be a success. He certainly was as a United States House member, as a cabinet member and vice president. But from his son, I learned resolve. He again, I think woke up every morning saying, I want to do what's best for our country. And once he determined what that was, he was resolved to make it happen. And he stuck to his guns. And you can see where some of that is now coming to benefit our country. I believe, his ability to stick to things in Iraq, which was really tough at a time when Republicans and Democrats alike were critical, led to the surge and led to a much better result there. Hopefully, our troops are now going to be able to come home, and we can have in place an ally in the war against terror, rather than a place that both persecuted its own citizens but also helped other terrorist groups. So I think his courage of convictions and resolve was something I learned from him.
What did you learn from either of them? They both went through, well, the first George Bush was defeated for re-election. The second one certainly had difficult times toward the end of his second term. What did you learn about defeat and disappointment from being near both those presidents?
Well, you do what you think is best, and if you in your heart believe what you're doing is best, you kind of let the political side work itself out. And I think if you look at the first President Bush, he was not reelected, but it was, I think, in his mind, partly because he made some tough decisions that he believed were the right things to do. And I think, although I'm sure it wasn't easy for him, that even today, as he looks back on those times, he will say, "Look, I did what I thought was best for our country, and I would do it again the same way." That gives you a certain amount of comfort, regardless of what happens politically.
Are you in touch with both of them?
I'm in touch a little bit with the senior, with the first President Bush, less so with his son, but now and again with both of them.